Hello and welcome to Onward Medical Journeys, a show about the latest research, advocacy, and stories in the spinal cord injury or SCI community. My name is Aditi Roy and I'm the VP of Communications at Onward Medical. In today's episode, we're discussing the announcement of a grant from the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation to help further Onward Medical's work using cutting-edge brain-computer interface or BCI technology. Here to talk about the grant and its potential impact on the SCI community are Marco Baptista, Chief Scientific Officer at the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, and Onward Medical CEO Dave Marver. Welcome to you both. And Dave, I'll start with you. Can you bring us up to date on the work that Onward Medical is doing using BCI technology?
Sure, Aditi. Thanks for the question. And Marco, thanks for joining. Nice to be on here with you. As you may know, Onward is deeply committed to restoring movement and other functions in people with spinal cord injury. And we have three platforms that we're developing to do just that. One's called ARC-EX, which stimulates the spinal cord externally through the skin. Another is called ARC-IM, which stimulates the spinal cord via an implanted platform. And this research involves pairing the ARC-IM spinal cord stimulation device with an implanted brain-computer interface. We call that ARC-BCI. And we're very pleased to be participating in this research that the Reeve Foundation is now funding through our research partners at NeuroRestore.
Marco, can you share a little bit more about how this grant came about?
Yes, and thank you, Aditi, for having me. So first, we're listening to our SCI community, and we know that they want technological breakthroughs to happen. And second, this is a technology that we know that Onward Medical is using specifically for the SCI community. And they're at the forefront of this type of research. So we're very excited to be partnering.
And Dave, we hear a lot about BCIs and other companies using this technology to, for instance, control a computer mouse or a keyboard. Can you tell us what differentiates the work that Onward Medical is doing in this field?
Oh, absolutely. There is a lot of innovation occurring in the BCI space right now. Essentially, a BCI is a recording device. So it records brain signals, and it uses those brain signals to do something. Now, everyone else in this space is using brain recordings to control a computer or a machine in some fashion. As you said, a mouse, a keyboard, a voice generator. In our case, because our mission is to restore movement and other functions in people with SCI, we're recording a person's intention to move. And we're using those recordings or that intention to then control our spinal cord stimulation device. The result being thought-driven movement.
Marco, this grant goes towards the work we're doing using the ARC-BCI system to address upper limb mobility in people with SCI. Why did you decide to target that indication versus lower limb mobility?
So we have a research strategy that is really trying to address high risk, high reward projects. And there's been a lot of exciting work from Onward on using this technology for the lower limbs. I think taking this to the next stage where we know from our community that they want greater independence, greater quality of life, and addressing it to the upper limbs is incredibly exciting for us. And that is why we made that decision.
And indeed, Marco, what we know in speaking with the community, often with your help, is that people with SCI prioritize restoration of upper limb function above everything else, because there's a direct link to independence and quality of life when one does recover some of that function. So for us, it's also a high priority.
The Reeve Foundation is, of course, closely connected to the SCI community. Marco, you mentioned this earlier. What are you hearing from the community in terms of perceptions of BCIs? Are there any misconceptions out there?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of excitement, but I think whenever there's new technology, especially technology that's tapping into brain recordings, there can be some trepidation. I think all science can be used for good and can be used for bad, and we need to work together to make sure that it's improving the lives of those in our community and making sure that everything that is done is in a very ethical manner. And I'm very excited with this partnership for us to achieve that.
It still is early days. Now, this is clinical research, it's feasibility clinical research, so it's happening in people. That's very promising. but thus far, only 2 people have received a system like this. And Reeve's support will enable us to do several additional study participants, several additional implants, and we'll learn a lot from those. But in any case, it's hard to foresee that a BCI augmented system like this would reach the market before, 6, 8, even 10 years from now. So people really need to have, cautious expectations around when something like this might be available.
And Dave, that brings me to my final question. We are, as you mentioned, the very early stages in this work using BCIs. What is Onward Medical hoping to learn from these studies, and what does that future look like?
So, Aditi, we've already demonstrated in our early clinical research that stimulating the spinal cord in a precise way can, in fact, restore movement after spinal cord injury. We believe that the addition of a BCI, the addition of thought control, can make those movement-related indications even better, especially for the upper limbs. And this is the indication that's now being supported by the Reeve Foundation grant. Why? Well, for mobility, that's a repetitive movement. So it isn't as important to control each movement specifically. But with the upper extremities, let's say picking up a fork or a pen, one has to consider how long they want to hold on to that pen, how much pressure to apply. And this is where thought control or those brain recordings can really make that indication far more effective in restoring activities of daily life. And so that's why we're excited about it. And we couldn't be more appreciative for the grant that the Reeve Foundation has given to NeuroRestore and the research partners, this consortium that includes NeuroRestore, Onward, and CEA Clinitech out of France. They're the makers of the BCI.
And looking forward to hearing those upcoming developments. Thank you so much, Dave Marver and Marco Baptista. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Aditi. And Marco, thanks again to you and Reeve for this support. We couldn't do it without you.
And that's all for this episode of Onward Medical Journeys. To sign up for company updates, come to www.onwd.com. You can also follow us on social media. Our handles are Onward Empowered. That's ONWD Empowered. We'll see you again next time.